Music's back just for this one. Well, probably the next one too, but just a couple of opening comments I want to make here. Might not be doing a video every Friday. I've got some 180 videos out there, and like I've said in the very first, dedicated towards helping the new guy with the lathe and the mill. And I pretty much so covered, I think, about every aspect there is of it. So now I'm starting to encroach on what's called Me Too videos, where I'm doing the same thing as somebody else. So I'll produce a video if I think I've got something good and worthwhile, but I'll keep going at it. Next up, for Gibbs, because I'm playing with Gibbs, I don't think you need to use a Gib. I think you can just stick a round brass rod in there. It'll hit the right spots, and the Gibbs screws will push it where it's supposed to be. I've never tried it, but if I need to, I am going to try that. Last piece, ox tools. I usually use paper in the 3-jaw to make it soft jaws when I want to clamp something that I don't want to put a mark on. And I saw him using this it's not, I don't know if you can call it duct tape. It's aluminum tape. I know it's sold in a lot of places. And it's sticky back, so he could just stick it on the jaws and it stayed put. I tried to use it. I cut it into a few pieces, but it's a pain trying to get the paper back off of it, so I just went back to paper. I've got a bunch. I always just keep cut up here in the drawer for when I need it. Hey, there it goes. Alright, for this video and the next one, the last video, I was really expecting somebody to leave a comment, and nobody did, because you guys, I had staged it. Right behind me in that video is a second mill that nobody picked up on. Craigslist, $395. I could not resist it. So this video and the next video, you're going to see me completely tear this thing apart. It's going to be an absolute kit. You're going to see inspection, fixing things and problems that are in it, on it, or were there to make it a mill, reassembly, and you're going to see upgrades. Next video is probably going to be more upgrades than anything. So I've got a second mill, and I'm trying to make this thing about as perfect as you can get it, and doing it too. Now I'm going to tear this mill completely apart, because this sucker's nice. I really like it. So I hope you guys enjoy and maybe learn something from it. Walk around here. Put the mic on. Alright, so I figured I'll just start with the base. Clean this all up in the X and the Y axis. Put that in place where I'm going to put this mill, and then start working on the head. So completely taken apart, pretty easy to do. First thing, as I suspected, when you pulled, should be wearing gloves, pull this off, completely loaded with grease, and the bottom of it too. So yeah, there's why my first mill. And yeah, the first mill, I was so green I wasn't about to take it apart and figure I'd break something, and you kind of trust that it was okay. So clean that up. Spent tons of hours here degreasing. It still had all the original junk on it. Back then I didn't have a granite surface, so now I can. I put this up on the granite on a 1, 2, 3 block, and test indicated this, and I was shocked. It's straight or perpendicular, less than a half a thousandth. Needle isn't really moving. But that doesn't count. What counts is this surface to this, and I have no way of really checking that out that I can think of right now. So I put a square, I'll pull the square out on here and see if I could feel any rocking. One side, I gotta check it again now. One side felt solid, but the other side was rocking. Yeah, now it's solid. Because what I noticed is, you can see, I think here, the shiny stuff, there was a burr all the way around here. that I had to just take a file and knock down, and that's going to throw the tram off. So that might be why my other mill, I won't know until this is put together whether it's just the machining on my other mill or there was something wrong with how it was assembled or made, that I had to make that bar in the back to pull the head back to get the tram right. And I'm not sure, whoop, wrong way. I'm not sure how they square this up, and I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet, because that's just a painted surface. I don't have anything that I can think of as of yet. Actually, does it matter? If you're badly tilted, it doesn't matter. So I'll probably just put a parallel in there or something and kind of eyeball it and just get it somewhat square. Because I've got nothing on the back, nothing to check the square with. So that's pretty good. The main piece here looks pretty good. I haven't really completely checked it out yet. All the nuts look pretty good. A lot of degreasing, sticking in acetone. And the gib, pretty interesting. This is the x-axis. And I don't know if you can see in the light, but it was hitting all the way across. But the issue is, there they are, just regular holes with a square tip, so it can't slide up and down. So I'm going to wind up flipping it over, lapping it, checking to get it flat, and then just make a groove in there and then make round balls out of this. Take it to the grinder and make them round. Hey, they're pretty round right there. I'll double check the, oh, this is so rough though. I think you can hear it. So that one was pretty good. This is the y-axis, and one side there I can see was rubbing all the way across, but the other side is only two spots, the two ends. So this is the same thing. Pathetic. This is terrible in here. Yuck. It's all burred up and stuff. So there's quite a bit, little bit, I don't know, worth of work on the gibs to flatten them out. Degrease everything here, especially the gib screws, so that I can use that non-permanent Loctite on them. So that when you set them, I don't have to worry about it. Was thinking about changing the nuts out to something nicer, but then why even bother? You know, just lock them down. So far, so good with this. Still have the main table to work on, and unfortunately the guy did mill into the middle of it a little bit, but that'll be covered up by the vise. And for this guy, I was thinking about using the tool maker's vise, build some clamps for it finally, and just put that down, rather than spending the money on another vise that's probably going to be defective like the first one I bought. But all right, progress is going on. Kind of nice having a mill so you can fix your mill. But out comes the mini pallet. Gib is clamped down. Just wanted to show that's all you have to do is just the slightest little groove in there, nice and smooth and shiny, so that the gib screw goes in there and the gib won't slide out as you move the axis. Yeah, with this, the mill that I'm using this on, I didn't have a mill to fix the mill, so I did it with a file, which works great. But so now it's just a matter of putting this in there and do some lapping. So far, pretty bad. I put some gauge pins in there, took the calipers and just measure it. And 1 dimension here, 2 thousandths bigger here, 2 thousandths bigger here. So I tried just the lapping compound. It's all nasty. My old valve grinding compound from 50 years ago or whatever. Stick it on this side with the gib and you just keep going back and forth and it's not working. So I got to do something to this side. It has to be probably on this side. So lapping compound on both sides, just run it back and forth for a half hour. I think I'm far enough. I'm going to clean it up and see where it's at. So probably it made this part bow like that, But the gib, I know, is going to be bowed too or something, but it's holding it nicely, and I can move it. Decided both of these nuts had massive burrs on both sides. You couldn't drop it in. Filed that nice and flat on both of them. Then decided to put the nut in there to see what this thing was doing. Turns out when you tighten this down, it's cocking the nut sideways, so it starts binding. So I got to do some shimming here or something to see what's going on. Yeah, it's got nothing straight. Replace the double nut back here with a nylon lock nut. And I want to put, just for the heck of it, reduce the surface area, a nice little brass washer. So I got to file that slightly bigger and get that on there. So that should clean that up. Because I had this adjusted and I thought this was what was binding. I didn't know the nut was. And I had zero play in here. But I'm just going to do the washer anyway. I think I did that on my other lathe. So let me clean it up and see where it's at. Hopefully it's pretty good. On its way to becoming a mill. So piece of shim stock in there was 4/1000 because the screw here, when you run it in there, it's tilting it that way. So I'm trying to keep it from, and it's, oi, shoot. Scary I'm on that guy. But yeah, I've got it nice now. Don't feel any play in this guy. And then I was checking the backlash. And I've got, I think it said 3/1000 worth here. Let's see. So if I put this, oh, that's interesting. I must have moved something. So if I put it on 20 here, I am almost a half thou under the zero. So if I start moving it backwards, there's 1/1000. Whoa, did that move? Yeah, it sure did. Let me try putting it on the zero. There, on the zero. So I'm looking at this dial. That would be 1/1000 backwards, and then 2/1000 there, and then 3/1000. So it's starting to move there. 2.5 worth of backlash on it. Not too bad, not too shabby. It moves nice and smooth now, so I'm just going to let it be. I've got oil in there because I remember putting grease in there is a mistake. Taking it apart, I can see everything that was lapped. Oh, it's still a little bit of play in it right now, but so yeah, once I put Loctite, non-permanent Loctite on the gib screws, then I'll do the final adjustment when this whole thing is back together again. But yeah, you could see definitely what got lapped big time. And the gib, yeah, this end got lapped pretty bad, and this end did too, so it's kind of bowed that way. But I had it tighter earlier. Yeah, there's not that much right now. There's a little bit of play, and it's far better than my existing mill. So now it's time to do the other axis. Well, like I said, luck of the draw. Didn't have to do anything with the x-axis. Yeah, just the bottom on the Y is loose. I haven't tightened that up yet. But works good, nice and smooth. I wish he wouldn't have run an end mill into the table. That must have really busted something up pretty bad. Oh, well, I don't think I can get another. Yeah, and still clean up the screws. I gotta clean up this cap. And I want to try to get more of the black out of here. There's just tons of it in there, whatever it is. But it's cleaned up and it's kind of ready to go here now. Just clean it up a little bit more and then start working on the head. Not too much to do to the head. There's some upgrades. Yeah, belt drive. Put my piston springs, constant force springs in there, and get a ER32 chuck on this thing. But the whole reason why I wanted this is because I want to take the rack and I want to move it all the way to the top. Because, is that free? Yeah. because here's the pinion or whatever, and so you can go all the way down. Boy, that spring is nasty. Now the table is right here. I could put a square here. Where's the square? Get a big square. There we go. And move that out of the way. Up, there. So the table, I still can go up further. There. So the table is right there. You're going to have an end mill in it. Well, actually, I'm going to have a collet in there. But I don't need to go that far down. The rack is right here. Where's the end of it? It's right here, way down here. So I can move this thing up all the way to the top. And then when I make the constant forward springs, I'll have something that'll hit it and stop it from going up all the way. But I'll have more clearance, because if you want to bore something like the flame engine, I just don't have the clearance. And even if I bought the other mills where you got the crank on it, your quill only moves 2 inches, so you don't have that much distance. And I can see there's paint all over this thing, and probably tons of grease, I'm sure, under here. So I'm going to take this off, take the spring off. That'll allow me just to run this all the way down, so I don't have to actually take it off the column. And then I'll have to re-drill and tap to move the rack up, because there's a bolt here, which is here, and then where's the other one? It's right here. So to move it up that much, I'll have to move, well, about that much. So I'll be drilling and tapping here, and then another one. So that'll give me quite a few more inches, right? 2 2¼ easy. So 2 inches. I'll get 2 more inches worth of travel, which would be great. Because right now, what's the distance on it? From there, I know the specs say it, but put this guy back. So I've got, if I've got, yeah, that's right, when you put the collet in there, how far does that go down? From that surface to there is 3 inches. So from this surface, 3 inches. So you're basically getting rid of this piece. So I would have, well, I guess from the chuck there, that's 7 inches. 7 inches, and you go 7, oh, it'd be 8, 9¼ inches, at least 9 inches worth of travel. So when I put a boring head in there, and then the bar comes down, now I can start doing some of these deep ones, because this flame engine, which I couldn't do on the mill, is I'd be boring, yeah, just over 2½ inches. So this will give it to me. Nice. And then I'll machine a straight shaft in there. Just double check these gibs and oil everything, and like I said, the belt drive and stuff. So not a whole lot to do to the head, which is nice. Well, I wish I would have done this to my first mill that I got. I think it looks like brand new now. Yeah, drilled. I put the head right here on this block of wood, and then I could undo the control box and slide the column off. Then I cleaned it all up here with Scotch-Brite and stuff, so it's looking really nice. Drilled and tapped 2 holes, so now I'm up 10 inches, which is really nice. The spring's not there, so I got to be careful here. But this is as far as I can go down, and I'm looking at the little machine shop, and they do sell just the extended rack for $31. I mean, the ER32 is going to end right here, so I've got pretty much of a gap. So I can either order that for $31, or Grizzly sells just this rack for $8. I'm not sure what their shipping is. I mean, the whole reason I'm buying this mill is because I want the length. So I'll wind up buying the rack, since I've got to buy the belt drive anyway. So that'll cover the shipping for both items. And that'll be what? That's $150, $180, $180. And I'll have the belt drive and a full rack, full range here. The ER32, Amazon's $25. That's not bad. And I do have all the pieces here for the leather. All the bars and junk were there. On the column, what did I find? Well, it was nice having just the column there on the head resting, and you could feel the column, so I could adjust the gib screws. You can't do it when the weight's here. You know, I was guessing on my other mill whether the gibs were set right or not. There's 4 screws holding this piece to the column. The 4 screws were just snugged in there. They were never really tightened. I haven't trimmed this. It's leaning to the right. I just wanted to get it together and up on the bench. So this is the device that'll go on here. You just need to make something to hold it down, and it hides their little accident. And the Grizzly sticker fell off, and so did the serial number. I've got it over here. So I've got to put some tape over this stuff to keep it intact. These guys are nice. The X-axis, no problem. The Y-axis, you saw I had to do a lot of lapping and stuff to get it really nice. Still haven't tightened it up, but what else was on this thing? So, yeah, before I order the ER32, I gotta make sure the spindle is the same. And I wanna clean this up. I haven't cleaned that up yet. Switch still works, click, click. My other one died. I do have a replacement switch, but who cares? It's been a long time since I've heard the plastic gears in this thing. It's like, you. So definitely a belt drive. What happened here? Oh, I'm not plugged in all the way. Yeah, outlet is messed up. There, got it. Boy, that sure sounds different. Because I know there's probably no grease up there. Wow, it's just wobbling around now. Clean that up a bit, because there's some oil. So, just a little bit more to go with this guy. Yeah, that's shining it up nicely. Yeah. Grease all over it. And he lost the knob for this piece, but I can make one. It's no big deal. So, there it is so far, guys. I had to take this thing back apart. I was just not happy at all with the Y-axis. So, took the whole lead screw out, this off, just work with this by hand. Dial indicate this side, you know, I just put the indicator up there on this and just get it down in the groove and start checking it. This side appeared to be perfect. The other side, high here and high down here. So all I could do was I had a bunch of spare parts, gibs and stuff from before. I don't know how I wound up with 2 brand new Y-axis gibs, but I took one of the brand new ones and the lapping compound valve just here. Work it for an hour or 2. It's ridiculous how long. Dial it again, closer, do it same way with the back. So now I've got this side straight. Second problem was the gib kept moving. So the groove that I made wasn't working. And I flipped it back over and tried the original, and it wasn't working. So I took the brand new one, stuck it in there because it doesn't have any holes, dents, anything in it. It's just flat and brand new. Run one of the gib screws in pretty hard to make a dent. And lo and behold, I was surprised. You know, they're drilling these holes pretty much so on center. The dent was way up at the top. So I put it on the mini pallet and just touched the spot with the drill bit. What was it? It was a 0.1406 drill bit. Just kind of make a nice little pocket. Put the gib back in there. That solved that problem. So now it's moving nicely. I can move it by hand. It feels good. It's not rocking at all. So I finally have that under control. Next thing is the nut. When I was trying to put it back together, if the nut was straight, then this shaft is way off to the side of the hole. So it's not going to work, and I discovered that you angle the nut to get the lead screw straight before you screw this in, and I said forget it. I just had another nut, brand new nut in there, and you play with the angle of it, and it seems to be straight. Lock it down, put this together, and now it's perfectly smooth. It's just beautiful. So I had to readjust this guy because I had some play in it. So I have no play, no rocking. It's absolutely cherry, and there's no shim in here either. So I'm very happy with it now. Now it's just a matter of put it back together. I don't know what I'm going to do with these. And again, I have no idea why I wound up with two absolutely brand new Y-axis gibs. I know why I had the nut, but because at one point in time I thought I messed up the nut on the other mill, and it turns out I didn't, so I wound up with the spare one. So now it's a matter of me just getting this axis. Get rid of. Oh no, this is the gib for the X-axis. Just a matter of futzing around now and get the X-axis perfect. Then I'll be happy. Found an ER32 chuck on eBay, and I was shocked. $14 and free shipping. Should be here in a couple of days, and I'll just keep my fingers crossed that it's really a nice